1986.
The year 1986 was a whirlwind of excitement and innovation in the United States.
Metal didn't whisper its arrival.
You got $1 million.
It screamed it. It showed up wearing denim, bleeding attitude, carrying a middle finger for every critic still clinging to disco's corpse.
You mean dead?
This wasn't just another year.
What year is it?
This was the year the underground detonated. When thrash stopped being a rumor, when glam stopped pretending it wasn't pop, when the world finally started to fear what metalheads already knew.
We all knew.
This music was never going away. Let's start with the nuclear blast. March 3rd, 1986. Metallica releases Master of Puppets. An album so tight and so angry, so goddamn precise it became the blueprint for metal perfection.
Metallica, and they will come.
This wasn't just a step up from Ride the Lightning. This was the moment Metallica went from underground champions to the cultural wrecking ball. You had Bathory. Welcome home. Damage Incorporated. Every fucking track hit like a warhammer.
Fuck off! I went to a Metallica.
And my fave, Metallica.
Meanwhile, Slayer said, "Finesse is for cowards," and dropped Rain and Blood. 10 songs, 29 minutes, 0 apologies.
Apologize?
This was the sound of thrash finding its final terrifying form.
Heavy metal, partner, heavy metal. Macho rock and
Jeff
roll.
Hanneman and Kerry King weren't writing music. These guys were exorcising demons through amplifiers.
The meaning of pain, the way that I want you to die. Slow down, immense decay.
Megadeth still fueled by Dave Mustaine's revenge arc. They delivered Peace Sells, but who's buying? Politically charged, tight as hell, dripping with attitude. Peace sells, but who's buying? This became more than a song. It was a mission statement.
You left Metallica, and then did you go right into Megadeth, or what did you do right after Metallica?
I think in my mind, I went right into Megadeth, but at the time, I was still kind of trying to, digest everything.
And then you got Anthrax.
Hey, from New York City, the happiest fucking band in the world, Anthrax!
They weren't slouching either, spreading the disease. Its follow-up momentum gave the scene something unique. Thrash with humor, thrash with charisma, and New York swagger. 1986 wasn't just a year thrash broke. It was the year it won. So while Big Four set stadiums on fire, a darker breed was clawing its way out of the underground. You had Sepultura. Still raw, still drenched in Brazilian chaos, they dropped Morbid Visions, an album that sounded like hell itself was learning how to riff. Over in Europe, you had Creator.
Following the release of Creator's second album, Pleasure to Kill, the band hit the road for a world tour, which also took them to the United States and Canada.
You had Destruction, Sodom, They turned Germany into a sonic war zone. Blackened thrash, proto-death, ugly, fast.
My only entertainment in life, the more battlefield. My only pleasure, the many try. Rage!
Celtic Frost in Switzerland was doing things nobody else dared. Mixing doom, mixing goth, with Satan into a cocktail that made you feel uncomfortable, but in the best way. But then there was Bathory. Quorthon wasn't trying to be famous. This guy was trying to summon something. With the return, he carved out the early DNA of what later would become black metal. These weren't radio bands. These were cassette trading, bootleg worshipped, cult legends in the making. 1986 was Thrash's coronation. But it was also the year the next generation of extremity found its first breath. While thrash spit blood, glam was drowning in champagne. Poison dropped Look What the Cat Dragged In. A debut soaked in lipstick and hooks. It was trashy, it was polished, and it sold. Bon Jovi released Slippery When Wet, and the world said, yes, please. Living on a Prayer wasn't just a song, it was a goddamn global event. Europe delivered the final countdown. And accidentally created the most memeable keyboard intro in rock history. Don't forget Rat. And there were so many others that rode this wave. MTV became a glam parade. Leather, lace, pyrotechnics, and teased out hair were no longer optional. They were the fucking brand. But make no mistake, 1986, this was the year the divide in metal became unavoidable. Thrash fans called glam fake, glam fans called thrash noise, and metalheads everywhere were being forced to choose a side. So beyond the music, 1986 was a cultural battlefield. You had the PMRC hearings. They had just wrapped up the year before.
But we're talking about a line that's been crossed when you have a top hit that's talking about, come inside my sugar walls, spend the night inside my sugar walls. That's what people, particularly parents of younger kids, are trying to address.
Tipper Gore's crusade against filthy lyrics gave birth to the iconic black and white parental advisory sticker. Dee Snider had testified in Washington, D.C. in 85, but the effects were felt in 86. Record stores got nervous. TV shows censored themselves.
Manson was the man responsible for...
And metal? Nope, metal just doubled down. Bands like Wasp, Venom, King Diamond leaned into the outrage. They weren't backing off. They were sharpening their imagery, darkening their lyrics, and writing directly to the kids the PMRC was trying to protect. Meanwhile, moral panic spread in small towns.
Many dark days, AIDS, exploding spaceships, and who can forget the satanic panic?
Over and over again, not only in rock music, but people in Hollywood all over who are being called by Satan.
They claimed that Judas Priest hid subliminal messages in their cover of Better by You, Better Than Me that said, let's be dead and do it, and that they influenced James and Raymond to form the pact.
Backmasking, satanic messages. Heavy metal is corrupting our youth. Parents feared it. Preachers condemned it. Which, of course, only made it cooler. So you know the big names. But 1986 was loaded with other albums that helped shape the scene. Iron Maiden released Somewhere in Time.
Take an amazing voyage to Somewhere in Time, the new album from Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden. Catch them somewhere on tour, sometime in early.
Their first with synth guitars. A very risky move, but one that paid off with atmosphere and depth. It's one of my favorites. Ozzy Osbourne's The Ultimate Sin brought commercial success and fan division.
Ozzy Osbourne dares you to succumb to the ultimate sin.
James Lee's guitar tone? Undeniable. Queensryche dropped Rage for Order. A progressive dystopian album that flew under the radar, but forecasted where metal could go intellectually. Then King Diamond's Fatal Portrait. This showed that horror and narrative could be married with blistering technicality and an operatic flair. Cro-Mags released The Age of Quarrel. Blurring the lines between hardcore punk and metal in ways that would birth entire crossover subgenres. And even Motorhead. Not ones to care about trends, of course. They kept grinding forward with Orgasmatron, a record that was both grimy and prophetic. 1986 wasn't just about what was popular. It was also about what would echo into the next decade. And then September 27th, 1986 happens. Cliff Burton dies in a tragic bus crash in Sweden.
There was also tragedy in rock this week. Metallica's bassist Cliff Burton was killed in a bus accident while the band was on tour in Sweden. He was 24.
For a band as intense as Metallica, the death of Cliff Burton felt like losing a family member.
This loss was seismic. Not just for Metallica, but for the entire scene. Cliff was more than a bass player. He was a creative force, a spiritual compass, a link between metal's past and its symphonic progressive potential. 1986 gave us triumph, but it also gave us many tragedies.
All know Cliff Burton over here. Everyone, hi Cliff, how you doing?
This proved that metal could sell out arenas and terrify the public, that it could be glamorous or grotesque, that it could be mainstream without losing its fangs. This year didn't just raise the bar, it split the genre wide open, and this set the stage for a decade of chaos. So next time on Metal Yearbook, we're going to hit 1987. This is Glam Goes Mega, Thrash tightens up, and the first signs of burnout begin the show. But for now, raise your horns for 1986. The year the Riff ruled everything. And if you dug this ride through the chaos, subscribe on YouTube, follow the podcast. Join us every Wednesday for a new chapter in the loudest history ever written. This is Headbangers History. I am Fred Carroll, where every riff tells a story. And this timeline is just getting started.